to Illustrator. This will be my first recording. The basics of Illustrator is learning when to use the black arrow and when to use the white arrow. So the black arrow works in the same way as Photoshop, where you can transform, so to make bigger or smaller, to rotate a shape, and to group. So you would use the black arrow for that. The white arrow works in a different way, where it identifies the anchor points of an object, and you can actually transform an individual anchor point. So you can turn it around, you can change it. So that is the major difference. You have to click on the edges of the object to be able to do this. The main reason why you are using Illustrator and not Photoshop is because if you zoom in, you'll notice that it's not made of pixels, but it is actually a vector. So you would be able to zoom in and still not be able to see the pixels, and so you have better clarity of an object. So the black arrow again is to transform, like you have in the black arrow in Photoshop. The white arrow, individually, you would adjust the object by clicking on the anchor points. Okay, you also will be able to see from here that there's a fill and there's a stroke or an outline. So to change the color of an object, you just select the object and you double click and the color will come up, and you can easily change the object color. You'll notice also there's a stroke. So if you want to change the stroke, you have to select the stroke and then you can change the color of the stroke. You can see there it's gone green. You'll also be able to see from the side panel that you can actually change the weight of the stroke, which means you can make it go thicker or thinner or not at all. So there is no stroke. But you have to select the object to be able to do that. Okay, let's see how I've transformed those three objects now. Okay, so that is the stroke. If you want to make something transparent, you can also go onto here and you can change the transparency. So you can make it lighter and less opaque. So you can see from these three objects, I have actually individually selected the object and changed the opacity. Okay, another thing we will learn is how to use the Shape Builder tool. Now this means that you can add objects together or take them away from each other. For example, with this square and this circle, I can place them together, select them both, and by going to the Shape Builder, I can actually drag and build the shape of the object. So I'm adding objects together, so it becomes almost like a bullet. You can also take away from the object. So if I place this triangle over here, I'll be able to take away from that object. Now this is useful for creating logos or creating different shapes. By pressing down Alt, so that's Alt on the Mac, you just drag to the object and there you can see it's taken away. I'll do this for the circles here as well. So I will go to the object and then pressing Alt, I can then take away the object until it looks like that, like an apple. Okay, and then this one is using a gradient. So I've gone to my gradient. If you want to add color to your gradient, you go up here and go to RGB. Then you can go back to the transparency, and by going to the gradient and double clicking, you can add some color, and you can see that it has gone to a pink. This is because I brought down the opacity of the pink, but this is solid, so it's going from solid to transparent. So you can see from here that it's gone from solid to not. Okay, and that's the basics of Illustrator. So you just need to remember what's the difference between the black and the white, and that if you're changing the actual fill or the stroke, and the gradient and the solid color, or none at all. Okay, thank you.